I'm very happy that I got what I wanted because I know
I feel very proud of myself that after all the hard work, I've actually got a good result.
Quite proud because at least I made it to the second best high school.
I feel very relieved and happy. But
I feel kind of neutral because I got the result I was expecting.
What I did paid off, and then I did well in the test, so I'm really happy.
it was hard obviously, but the English was harder than the maths and the GA because a lot of people are getting better in maths and GA.
The test was pretty easy, but English was particularly hard, but maths and GA were easy.
It just felt like any normal test I've done in my life. And then once I was into it, I just did the test and it was good.
Maths was actually very straightforward. English was a bit challenging, but if you learn how to evaluate and infer, it's actually pretty easy.
Writing, it was a very strange topic. It was like Scrabble tiles, it spelled mistake, and the K was upside down. So it was very strange, but I got through it.
The test wasn't too hard. English was alright, but maths and GA were pretty easy.
it was similar to the STDC tests and the ASAT. It was easier than I expected because I had already learnt it at Pre-Uni.
But the English was actually really hard. It was harder than I expected. But the GA and maths, they were quite easy. And
There was a whole variety of texts. There were poems, there were cartoons, there were narratives. So you have to study all of them in order to be able to comprehend all of them.
It was hard because there were a lot of extracts, and the extracts were hard to understand. And then they put in lots of questions. And there were also comics and cartoons.
In the reading tests, there were primarily narrative, informative reports, a few narratives, and mainly just informative reports. So if you can pick up key information and then quickly be able to match it to the question, then it's actually pretty easy.
there was a lot of narratives and informative reports. There was 2 poems and 2 cartoons. And I think that's it.
There was a bit from everything, so a whole variety. So you have to study everything, be able to know everything, all the basics.
In maths, I feel like there were calculation and direction questions, and it was pretty easy because there weren't any actual hard ones.
In solving, if you're accurate, if you can quickly calculate something and not make a mistake, it's also pretty easy.
I was able to finish all the questions, and that's because I was able to be conscious of how much time I had left and the question that I was up to. But you shouldn't worry or panic if you don't have enough time, because that will take your concentration away.
I finished it because every time I looked at a question, the answer just suddenly came into my head.
I set a strict time frame for each question. I try to not pass 1 minute for each question.
I just prepared for that, kept on revising questions, and try to improve my speed and accuracy as well.
I tackled the time by checking the time I had left every 2 to 3 pages so that I wouldn't run out of time.
What I did was, if I found a hard question, I either left it to the end or I guessed the answer but then put a mark to it.
When I got to a hard question, I wouldn't spend too much time on it because that would waste time for the other questions.
For GA, I finished 7 minutes earlier. For that 7 minutes, I used it to see and check my unsure question.
It helped you with time management and the question layout, and you were familiar with everything.
It made me look up at the time when I wanted to, and also it helped me find out what the real test conditions were.
STDC has helped me in understanding the conditions of the test rather than learning specific areas.
Every week you go and sit an exam, so it'll kind of tell you how the selective test will feel. And the tests Pre-Uni gave were very accurate.
They were almost exactly the same. The only difference was the layout of the test.
They really do help with like the timing, and then the amount of questions are the same, and the topics are the same.
Definitely, because they the more you practice, the faster you'll get.
It's better to do that and just the course, because it gives you the atmosphere, because you're in a real test center, and like it's not a classroom. You get the same feeling.
The conditions were the same, and there was a big clock at the front of the room, just like Selective.
The ASAT actually kind of strengthened, like it was more real. I mean, the condition of you being there with like 1,000 other people, it's different to like being stuck in a classroom with 30 people. It's like, it feels daunting, and if I didn't take the ASAT course, I almost definitely would have been like confused and then been shocked in the actual selective.
It was very similar, like the questions, the topics were quite similar.
Teach you everything you need to know, and also it makes you familiar with the questions and the surroundings. So I would recommend going to Pre-Uni.
Advise that you don't feel any pressure in the test, as it's gonna make you even more pressurized. So just feel calm and relaxed during the test.
Being stressed on the first few days, it's like normal. However, on the last few days, it's when you stress, you're just like decreasing the capability of yourself.
I know everyone's scared for the test. It's a big day, but just calm down. Don't stress. Just, even though it might be challenging, face it, because in the end, it's just a test.
The main tip I would have is to not stress out, as that would just make it harder for you to concentrate on the test.
If you're worrying about the time, don't glance at the time every 30 seconds. That will lose you maybe 2-3 minutes. So just glance at the time maybe when you're halfway through, a quarter way through, and that just tells you if you need to speed up or not.
Don't stress like before the exam, otherwise you might like freak yourself out and it will be harder to like answer the questions as well as you could. Just revise and make sure you know your stuff, so then when it comes to it, you won't be too stressed.